Yeah, he will be fine. He will be fine by the time we play the game. So I didn't give any updates on injuries today, but he'll be all right.
Kendrick Law back and what you see from
Pardon me?
Kendrick Law, just how's he doing?
Kendrick's he's been 100%, back from his injury that he had earlier in camp, and he's looked really good and had a nice scrimmage on Saturday, so he's playing well. Pardon me? Yeah.
Honoring him, what did his style of play, just leaving Kentucky football and setting that foundation of college?
Well, just meeting Dean's family, Lisa and the boys, and hearing about Dean and watching his highlights, doesn't take long to realize what a remarkable person he was, first class, everything that you're looking for to represent the University of Kentucky. Again, beautiful family, and what a nice event and a great recognition for him. Terrific player, but even better person.
How's it feeling when you go here this time of year when the talking season is finally almost over with and you're about ready to take the field and actually play some basketball?
Yeah, I think it's just, getting to this point, very much in the day-to-day. What do we have to get done today? And you feel that pressure each and every day because there's just so much to do. And then, as we get closer to it, you just want to make sure, big picture, that you covered all the bases, and then now we're trying to detail things up and get really game ready.
Mark, it sounds like Cover's just made a lot of progress this game.
Yeah.
Just what have you seen from him as a player and where has he grown?
I think he's grown the most, just knowledge, just putting it all together. You understand he's a very young player still, and it's a hard position to play. I think we all understand that. Being a starting quarterback in the SEC is very difficult. So I just think letting them grow, letting them get better, putting them in as many situations as you can, and now you're starting to see that comfort from him. You've always seen the ability. It's just his comfort level with run the offense, and when things break down, knowing where to go with the football, and just he feels more comfortable, and that's evident with the way he's playing.
Do you think your players are anxious to kind of finally get on the field and prove what they can do this year rather than all of the talk of last year, what the expectations are?
They will be. They will hit that point. We still have a little time right now, so we're still in camp mode. Their focus needs to be on the mistakes that they made this morning. How do they get them corrected? How do we have a better practice tomorrow? And take care of themselves. I'm quite confident when that time comes, that we'll be excited, that's for sure. I just want to make sure they're prepared.
Bringing in as many players as you did, do you bring up last season at all?
No, only, I do in one regard. We're always going to learn. We're going to learn from our mistakes. Anything that we do, we're going to own it, we're going to show it, we're going to learn from it. And if there's carryover, if there's ways, examples, then we'll use it that way. They're not, it's not like they're so delicate where they can't handle it. It's just that there are a bunch of new guys that we're worried about what's going on right now.
With Toledo being as strong as they're predicted to be, is that a benefit for you guys as the SEC is so tough that you can kind of get running?
Definitely. It's always good to play good opponents, and I think everybody knows Toledo and the respect that they have for them and what they did to an SEC team last year in their stadium. So I don't think it'll be hard for our players to get their attention. Again, I'm worried about us and our preparation and just making sure we play the game the right way.
Like the horses that are breaking from the gates here before too long, it'll be time to break from the gates for this football season. A week from Saturday, I'm guessing you're a little eager to get it started.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. It's been a long talking season. I think I have one more event on Wednesday evening, and then it's all football for a long time. I could say that our players stepped on the field again this morning. It was the fourth week into camp, and we're going strong. Things are going very well. I'm very pleased, and there's obviously a lot of work to be done. Before we get into it too much, I just want to say thank you. What an amazing event. Thank you to the Louisville Alumni Association, what you do. There's a lot of these banquets that I go to throughout the year, and this one's first class. Absolutely very moving to listen to Lisa meet her children and that amazing family. So our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Let's talk a little bit about just overview of your guys, what you like about this group.
Well, I was asked on the way in, in what ways are we going to be different? And, you and I have talked a lot. I'm not sure in any area we'll be the same. And we need to be. We need to be better in so many different ways. I was not very pleased, with how we played last year. I know many people in here, the great fans that we have, it wasn't up to your standard as well. And, we needed to get better. So I think each and every area of our team is going to be improvement. It starts up front. I said that 13 years ago in my first press conference, that this league, you have to be very strong on the line of scrimmage. We had to go out and improve in the offensive line. I definitely feel like we've done that. Everybody wants to know about quarterback, and we're going to be much improved. We have Zach Calzada, Cutter Boley. Both of them are really playing exceptionally well. We have better skill around them. So I think there's just a big improvement in so many ways. Defensive line, same thing. We were improved. I could use Dean, and somebody like that to play like that with that kind of energy, in how passionate he was. But our guys are playing very good up front. I feel like the secondary can be a strength. So overall, I just think big picture, we needed to be better. We have over 50 new players. We have some new staff. So I'm excited. I also think, the continuity, this is the first time in 5 years I have an offensive coordinator that's going into his second year, and you could see that paying dividends already. It's very difficult that first year. With Bush going into his second year, you could see the continuity, you could see the improvement, and that's very helpful.
It's a great point about Bush running the offense, because he not only was in his first year last year, you had to make that hire a little later than you would typically make it, and to use the old Bill Parcells line, he didn't get to shop for all the groceries, but he was able to do more of that for this group.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's been some change there, and Liam had a great opportunity, and you can't fault him for taking that opportunity, but it definitely set us back a little bit. With Bush, he's never one to complain. He always just puts his head down, tries to make things better. But I do think in that first year, it's going through this league and play caller in this league, what you can do, what you can do effectively. And, I think going into the second year, he's much more aware, and, we're much better.
I would say a good suggestion for all these folks and all the Kentucky fans between now and August 30th is to find a roster somewhere and save that somehow to your phone, because there are 50 plus new names on this team. What's that been like from a coaching standpoint?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I could say that. We do have a good nucleus of players that have been here and that have played for us, and that we build that core around. But we needed some new players. You're always in this era. There's drastic change. I don't think we'll have that many each and every year, but this year we needed to. We needed the change. I think the one constant, I think every time I talk to somebody and engage with somebody about football, everybody's asking me about what position group or what player and what excites me the most. And truthfully, and this is not just coach speak, but it's true. What I love most about this team is the team. The strength of our team is going to be the team. We can't be overly dominant on defense or on offense, special teams. We have to be good everywhere, and we have to play together. I love the way this group has come together. We've worked extremely hard. We always have. We've always been intentional about development and spending time with these players, investing with these players. But this year we've really gone above and beyond, because we have to. With that many new people, just the relationship piece alone, that we've worked very hard. And we've kept that going all the way through camp. Even last week we went away for a night. We practiced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, went away, spent time together as a team overnight Wednesday and half the day Thursday, and did some team building activities, had some fun, and just making sure this team is united. And so we're not leaving that to chance by any stretch. And I just like the way they care about each other. I like the way they play. I think you, as a fan base, you're going to love watching them. You know, I've been proud through the years, and I know we fell short through through some time to time. And we all want the same thing. We want a passionate group that plays extremely hard, that represents Kentucky the right way, and plays very physical, very tough, very hard, and cares about each other. And we're going to do that.
I want to ask you about one guy in particular that I think is one of the more interesting guys that you brought in, and that's Shiaj Pete, left tackle, 6'8",
Yeah.
340-ish.
Yeah. Big.
Nice, good-sized young man. If they don't run over him, it's going to take a while to get around him. With that wingspan he's got. But he's also just incredibly interesting. Navajo, raised Navajo. So tell me just a little bit about him.
Yeah, Shiaz, he grew up on a reservation. He's an incredible young man. His story is amazing. But a very intelligent person, very deep thinker. He's a guy that, he's a great addition. As people get to know him and listen to his story, it's really remarkable where he's come from, how hard, he has worked to get in this position. And, I've been around some amazing players. I've been blessed for all these years, and just to be around greatness and terrific people. But he is very unique. He's an individual that I love sitting down and talking to, and he's going to look at you, and we've had a couple dinners together and lunches, and I sit there and he'll just look at me and be like,
Very thoughtful. I mean,
Yeah,
you
man.
ask him a question, you can tell he's thinking about it.
And I'm looking back at him, I'm like, I don't know exactly what, I'm not sure what to make of that, Shiaz, but right back to you. But no, he's just a great young man. It's just fun, visiting with him. He's, like I said, he's just a deep, he puts a lot of thought into everything that he does, and he's a remarkable talent as well.
I think this really started in 16 with that first bowl team, but I think from 18 to 21, you guys won 33 games, which I think is tied for the best 4-year stretch in Kentucky history. You had 6 offensive linemen drafted into the NFL during that time. It seems like you have a group now with some guys that have that level of ability. Great offensive lines, everyone I've ever watched and covered. There's a real tight bond there, and they really would, ride or die for each other. Last week at the retreat, I think it was Josh Braun Saturday, he was talking about Shiaz brought in board games. They're playing chess, playing Risk. Yeah. So they have some unique ways they're bonding, and you've got the chemistry, it sounds like you want there.
Yeah, without a doubt. The chemistry has to be there, as you mentioned, but the talent needs to be there as well. And, certainly we've already had numerous, scouts coming through practice every day. And, and that's just it with the offensive line. We have 5 guys that are being looked at, that are NFL-type talent, and we needed to get back to that. We had to have that physical presence again. I mentioned that earlier, but it's so true. We have to be able to run the ball, to have the balance that we need. We kind of got away from that or didn't meet our standard the past year, and, we got to get back to that. And these guys are big. They're physical. I feel like we have talented backs as well, so we're making progress there.
What about stopping the run on the other side, because you have some new faces up front?
Yeah, I think, the big thing is it's a lot of guys that need to play hard, and I was taking a picture with somebody earlier, and they had mentioned, if you play harder and play longer, you're going to have a good chance to win games, and that's very, very true. And we have to have some depth. I feel like we have depth. We have a rotation that we could play 6 or 8 guys on the defensive line. Obviously, we got to keep some of them healthy. We don't talk about it much, excuses, nobody wants to hear it, but I mean, you talk about that a year ago. Going into the season, we had 2 defensive linemen that didn't even suit up from the beginning of fall camp, and then you get a couple more injured, and all of a sudden it gets thin very quickly. So right now we've been able to practice extremely physical. We've been able to work on those short yardage situations that bit us a year ago in goal line on both sides of the ball, and be able to practice physical and still keep guys healthy, and that's a good thing because we put in the work, and those guys are playing physical. It's a big group of D linemen, and we're going to need it. It's going to be a long year.
Groups like this time of year always want to know about the quarterback position. Tell us about that room and what you like about the guys who are in it.
Yeah, I think, Zach Calzada is a transfer. He's a sixth-year player. I really like his experience. He's been around a long time. He's played in this league. He's won big games. He was the starting quarterback at Texas A&M years ago under Jimbo. Won a bunch of critical games there. Had an injury. Has bounced around a little bit, but big thing is his experience. He's a big guy. He can make all the throws. He has a strong arm. And he's in a battle with Cutter Boley. I think Cutter is a guy that's a redshirt freshman that we all anticipate the future of this program. When that happens, I don't know. But Zach has been very steady and very good through camp, as has Cutter. But I feel like, if one was leaning one way or the other, I felt like Zach was having some really good practices and kind of separate. And then all of a sudden, Cutter comes out last Saturday and has a remarkable scrimmage and looked as comfortable as he's looked since he's been here, with really putting it all together. We all saw flashes in games and in practice with his ability with his arm, but putting it all together and really having that comfort level and that command of the offense takes some time, and he's getting very comfortable and he's making big gains, and so that's really terrific to see, both for this year and for the future.
You talked about the collective effort that it'll take. I remember when I first started doing Kentucky football, the O-line coach was Guy Morris, and after a particularly tough Saturday, the next day, Guy said, "I've got one problem. I've only got 5, and they know it." Your guys are in a situation where nobody knows at pretty much any position that they're assured of anything, right?
Yeah, we definitely feel like right now, I feel like we have 8 that could play winning football at the level that we need them to play, and we're working on 9 and 10. But, that's a good thing. We have some versatility with the 8 to bounce some guys around. So, that's good. That's better than we were a year ago.
And that's across all positions.
Well, last year I felt like we were at 5 maybe, and then we got an injury or 2, and all of a sudden we were in bad shape, and we played that way.
What about special teams? Punter, kicker, return guys?
Yeah, I think Aiden, our punter, could hit the ball. I mean, the other day, heck, he was hitting it like 60 yards every time, so we really feel like, with our kickers both have extremely strong legs. We want to make sure we have the accuracy with the field goals and all that, but we feel like we've been very strong there in special teams, and you and I haven't had to talk about it much the last couple of years, so that's a good thing, right? So hopefully we'll keep it that way.
It gets started a week from Saturday. You've had the 2 scrimmages now. Pretty soon, sometime this week, you kind of move into game week mode of preparing for Toledo. So what needs to happen in the next day or 2 before you kind of make that shift?
Yeah, heading into this week, I really wanted to feel very confident walking off the field this past Saturday, having, putting the ball down and having a very physical, long scrimmage. And we were able to do that. In years past, you get to the second scrimmage and you're a little bit concerned because you feel like you've done so much work, you've been physical, you've worked a lot of situations, but sometimes the injury bug starts taking its toll. And we had some injuries, but nothing major, thank goodness. Early kind of slowed down our progress at certain positions, but we were able to get it in Saturday. And I made a kind of a commitment to myself and to the team this year that no matter what the situation, it's kind of like all gas, no brakes, to get them prepared to go. And, there's 2 schools of thought there, with, if you keep on going hard and keep on scrimmaging, then your younger players, they're going to get it. You know what I mean? They're eventually going to get the reps. They're getting better. So we were able to do that, with the entire team, the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s. We've been repping them and working really hard. So we got through the scrimmage Saturday. Today we had our practice this morning. So Monday, Tuesday will be camp schedule, and then starting Wednesday, we'll get into prep for Toledo. So camp will break essentially after Tuesday, and even though school hasn't started, school starts Monday for us. We'll get into game prep. We've obviously been working on some of that, but total game prep will start Wednesday, Thursday this week.
You grew up in a coaching family, so you have a lot of expertise there and experience to draw on. When all coaches go through the roller coaster, you're going to have ups and downs. So when you're working your way back to where you want to be, what went into your mindset coming into this season?
Well, it started way back, right after last season. Obviously, the first thing was roster management, was getting the roster right and working extremely hard with that. And then it was, looking at every aspect of the program. I think it's been well documented. You and I have talked about it, but, we went deep into everything, whether it's strength and conditioning, the team culture, the way we teach, the way we lead, anything. We looked at each and every aspect of the program, making sure we're doing things the right way. Whether you have success or failure, you always want to make sure you're trying to get that growth and get better. So we've addressed each and every area. I think, the big thing was some of the topics that I was talking about of, injuries or not, or going too hard, going too little, all those things. That's a fight. That's a balance for 13 years, and so, there's many ways to do things, but we've worked really hard. The staff has done a remarkable job. The big thing to me is the players. We've put in the time. We've worked hard. They've worked hard all summer. Through camp, they've been very consistent, and we're getting better, and that's all we can do. So I feel very good. People have talked about, I might be getting a coffee or something in a coffee shop. They're like, oh, don't listen to a coach. I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying. I can promise you I'm happy, because I really appreciate the work that the players have done. I appreciate the work the staff's done. I promise you we're doing everything we can, and I can feel good about that after that. Now, I want to go play good. I want to represent this great state the right way, and we have for a long time, and I'm excited about this opportunity.
Get you out on this. Talk about the leadership component, because that's always important, and sometimes it's who you get on the bus. It's not something you can coach per se, but you guys do some work to try to grow leaders. But are you comfortable with the leadership piece for your team?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just the guys we added to the program. I mean, we're adding guys that have, that are married, that are fifth-year guys, sixth-year guys that have played a lot of football. They're very mature. They're approaching it that way, and so I feel very good about the leadership. As I mentioned, that we're not laying off in any area as far as the discipline, the accountability that needs to be there. We're not dealing with that whatsoever, and there's been very little. And the minute anybody might get out of line in any way, shape, or form, it's nice to see the other players getting to them before even us coaches have an opportunity to address it. So I feel very good in that area. Like I said, very mature team, guys that have been around for a while. So I feel good about it.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Just a little bit